Oh, didn't see you there. Welcome to this week's edition of the Vince Wilforce Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Johnny. Today I'm joined by Dan. Dan, what you say? A little something?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Now that I hold all of your first-round picks, I can finally hold a meeting.
This is a come to Jesus meeting because you have 5 picks in the first round now. You're riding high in the Chris Stapleton team. So this week we'll do some start sits for each team, and then we'll talk about some of the trades that have happened. We'll start doing our start and sit segment on Drew's team. Dan, do you want to get us started on who Drew should start this week or in the foreseeable future?
So for Drew, the upcoming week, you kind of set at quarterback, but I feel like you should. Drew Brees is on your bench right now, but they're playing Detroit. Detroit's pass defense is horrid, absolutely terrible. So I would probably throw Drew Brees in over Kyler Murray this week for his start. Yeah.
Even without Michael Thomas?
Yeah, because Detroit's that bad. And you may go ahead and do sit 'em?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
For sit 'em, I actually have another Saint, Latavius Murray, against Detroit because I think he's like their goal line back, but I don't think they're going to be in the goal line. I think they're just going to pass all over Detroit.
He's scoring.
It's going to be all Kamara all day. So I think Murray's a sit this week.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because the Kamara looked like a baller last week. He was putting up some crazy points and scoring from long range. That was
fuck James. So
Drew, this week I think you should start OJ Howard. I've been shitting on the Bucks all year, and the main reason that I say to start OJ Howard is because Godwin's out. It looks like Scotty Miller's a little banged up, and OJ is the type of guy who can line up at the slot if needed. So I think that Brady likes his slot guys a lot. He might be a good play for you. They're playing against the Chargers, which is a decent enough defense, but the offense can't really keep up most of the time. And for your sit, I got Steve Sims. He's an afterthought on that offense. The Ravens got embarrassed Monday night against the Chiefs. I think they're going to come out pissed, and it's not going to go well for Washington.
Yeah, thanks, Baltimore.
Yeah, I was cool with it because Mahomes dropped like 40 for me, which was straight.
Yeah.
And now we'll go for Kyle. I'll start off for Kyle. Kyle, I think you should start Brandon Ayuk. So he had a good showing last week. 5 catches, 70 yards on 8 targets. He also ran the ball 3 times for about 30 yards and a touch. The 49ers are just decimated by injuries like my fantasy team. I'm expecting a pretty solid workload for him, kind of similar to what we saw last week against a Philly team that can't figure it out. And then sit Dion Lewis, running back for the Giants. I would drop all veteran shares that I had on the Giants at this point. I think that they're going to just revamp everything. I don't know if I've seen a line that bad. It's pretty cringy to watch, and I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the running backs or the receivers' fault. I think it's more on the line itself. But at this point in time, sit him, and with Dion Lewis, he might even be a drop at this point.
And it's not like the Giants haven't invested in the line because they got Thomas top 5, and they have Will Hernandez, who was the best guard 2 years ago in the draft. So I don't know if it's their coaching or they just like completely busted on those picks, but it's horrid to watch, especially with Saquon being hurt now. Rest in peace.
I feel bad for Saquon though, because he is he has a really good talent. To have an ACL injury, that's rough for the fans. But I mean, I can't say whether or not those rookies are necessarily bust, but I feel like a big part of the line just in general is the center. I can't say that I know who the Giants center is, so I don't know if maybe that's something that they have to address. But yeah, I mean, they're just. I think Freeman. How did he do whenever he had his first game
He
on?
had 5 carries for 10 yards.
Yeah, see, I mean, everyone's struggling out there, and honestly, Barkley didn't look much better week 1, so except for the
Right.
passes he had.
He had like 14 yards, I believe, week 1, something like that. Some really low number.
Yeah, and I know that they had a stat. It was like at halftime, if you went to your fridge and got a drink and came back, you had more yards rushing than he did. I mean, it's it's unfortunate. I feel bad for him because the Falcons fucking suck too. So we're all fighting through it.
Yeah. So for Kyle, he's already starting, but I just want to say it. And he will probably break his own records this week, but just because he's playing Atlanta. Aaron Rodgers is probably about to have 500 yards on our defense. So he's my starter for you.
That's modest to have 500 yards.
And my it was before I found out that Jamal Adams was hurt, but I'm still going to say it. Fitzmagic, I would just put him on the bench for this game in Seattle because they really haven't played. Well, they played Jacksonville with decent defense, but he's made great plays, but I don't think he can keep it up for the rest of the year. I think Tua will eventually make his way in this year.
Yeah, but man, it was fun to watch Fitzmagic that Thursday.
Yeah.
He plays every down like it might be his last. You know, like dipping the shoulder against linebackers. I love it. Absolutely love it. And he's getting up smiling, his chin straps in his fucking eyeballs. But he's
play football.
Yeah, man. That was fun to watch, but yeah, for fantasy purposes, he's just a filler at this point for sure.
Yeah, just like my whole quarterback room right now, just a cycle.
Now we'll go to Jonathan. Jonathan, I wrote my notes before I heard the news about Alan Lazard, so that was my start for you. And the reasoning was Falcons, period. And I got to be honest, man, I looked at your team, and I honestly can't really say that I would start anyone that you aren't already starting. So, and plus, I don't want to help you out because I'm playing against you. So, but my original start for you was Lazard. For sit, Phillip Rivers, which I think he actually made the move already to sit him. He's averaging around 13 points a game. And if you also look at the teams that they played against, Jacksonville 1-2, Minnesota 0-3, the Jets 0-3, and he can't break 15 points playing against them. That's alarming, especially with the hype that he had going into the season and the Colts being a team that we thought was going to – I mean, I think the Colts are like 2-1 maybe.
Their defense is playing great too.
Yeah, Darius Leonard is the truth, but Rivers, I mean, he's not putting up the fantasy numbers at least.
He's been super inaccurate.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that they lost Campbell, and I believe Michael Pittman is out too, but with the running backs that they got, and they lost Marlon Mack, so now JT's yeah. Who would have thought that the top 3 fantasy rookie running backs? I think we all saw Clyde. You know,
right.
JT had the talent, but we didn't know about the opportunity if it was going to be there. And then James Robinson.
Right. Out of nowhere.
How do you just going on James Robinson? Do you believe the hype? Is he the new Jack's Fournette?
I wouldn't call him a Fournette. I mean, if you could compare him to anyone, it'd be like the undersized, decent speed, can catch the ball. He's just good at carrying the ball. He doesn't do anything super spectacular, but he gets his yards. So I respect him, man. He's going to probably be their starter for the next at least 3 years.
Yeah, I meant Fournette more in the sense of the amount of touches that he gets for like a time.
And he'll probably even get more touches just because he can catch the ball too. Fournette was like a power bag to me. but
He,
know,
it looked like a really dumb move by the Jaguars to get rid of Fournette and replace him with an undrafted.
it looks kind of smart.
I mean, if Fournette truly didn't want to be there and was going to leave, they probably made the right move by getting rid of him. I think they could have dealt him for something. I'm sure they tried to, but
Probably nothing close to what they wanted. But
I think.
Pick.
What's up? You broke up. I'm sorry.
But he was the 4th overall pick in the draft, so
yeah, he was up there.
At least the 3rd for him, but that's not going to happen.
Running back lose their value very quickly.
Yeah.
Case in point, Dave Freeman. Now we'll move on to James.
I didn't go for Jonathan. That was who we did. Yeah. For start, he's already in your starting lineup, but I got Schultz versus Cleveland, the tight end. Cleveland's D has been pretty terrible, and I just think he's going to go off. And then for sit, I got Jeff Wilson for San Fran because last week he had a touchdown last week, but he had 12 carries for 15 yards. And he had, I think 16 touches, and he only totaled 17 yards total. So this dude is not breaking a tackle to save his life.
Nah.
So I'm sitting him.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Those 49er running backs, I feel like, are getting close to the Patriots in the sense that, you never really know who's going to take off. But it doesn't sound like he's going to be one of them. I think McKinnon had a pretty good week last week, replacing Mozart.
Mm-hmm.
I expect more of the same from McKinnon. So now we will move on to James. I got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the old USF Bull, playing for the Packers against the Falcons. I think, now that Lazard's out, he's probably going to be their wide receiver too. And Devontae Adams is trending towards playing, but they have a bye week next week. So I don't think that they're really going to push the envelope. And they honestly won't really have to against the Falcons. I'm pretty sure that the Pop Warner receivers in Middleburg can burn our DBs. So I think that he'll get a few bombs. He'll put up I'm expecting double digits from him. For sitting, Golden Tate. He's only been active for 2 games. He's seeing consistent volume, but it's like I said before, that Giants offense, I'm selling all veteran shares if I have any on the Giants. He's 92nd in scoring, trailing guys like Chris Conley, and he's supposed to be their number 1. Right. So I would maybe wait till he has a big game, try and deal him to Christian, because apparently Christian wants to roster every Giants player, but I wouldn't start him this week.
I agree. He's already started with Kittle. I have this start as Kittle coming back from injury. It's been the trend of people coming back. They miss 2 weeks, they come back, they blow up. And I think Kittle's going to be that guy against Philadelphia. And then sit, I actually have another tight end, Waller versus Buffalo, because they played New England last week. He had 2 catches for in the teens of yards after blowing up the week before. Mm-hmm. And I think Buffalo's defense is better. So I think he's a sit this week just from the way he performed last week.
Yeah, he was one of my pickups last year, and I love him. But I think that at this point in time, he's not going to surprise teams. People know that he's their main receiving threat, which is both good and bad. But it's really bad at the moment because there's no Ruggs, there's no Bryan Edwards. I think the only help that they got is Renfro, and Nelson Aguilar. So who's the ball going to go to? He'll probably get his targets, but I agree with you. Double team. It wouldn't surprise me if they get him the old Julio treatment.
Yeah.
And now we will go on to Matt. Keep in mind, I wrote these notes before the Thursday game, and I was going to change it, but it gives me a reason to kind of brag on myself. I said Jerry Jeudy was going to get his first touchdown, and he did. That was a badass catch. I loved it. Right out of Dezier's fucking face. But yeah, that was pretty much all he did, though. I think he had like 2 catches, 61 yards, and a touch. But that's a good day for our league. And for sit, I got Austin Hooper. I know that you were big on him whenever the year started, getting them off me. But that Browns team, man, they can't pass. They got too much talent, and they only use Chubb and Hunt, I feel like. The good thing about having a tight end on a run-heavy team is they typically run a lot of 2 tight end sets, which like theoretically would be great because you would think Hooper would be out there a lot more, obviously blocking, but getting some passes. He's getting a max of 4 targets a game throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. Baker Mayfield is, I wouldn't say bust, but damn, he doesn't look good. And I just don't expect him to finish in the top 20 this year after a top 5 finish last year, whatever he was.
I actually I originally had Fournette in the spot just because I felt the Chargers were kind of getting depleted on defense. Got a few injuries, but I saw the injury beforehand, and I actually went Hooper as my start.
Ooh, okay. Let's hear
it. I feel like when he played for Atlanta, he had these times where he was just like dormant. You didn't see this motherfucker, all right? And then he would just blow up. And I feel like this is his blow-up game. It's a big game, and I think it's going to be a shootout. So I think he'll get a touchdown this week, at least.
That's a bold prediction. I would not start him. But I know that I know what you're saying about like in Atlanta, he would disappear for a few games. But I think that I'm so hesitant is because he's never proven it in Cleveland yet. He made some contested catches. Just thinking back to the Bengals game I watched with him. But I think it's more of a knock on Mayfield at this point because Odell and Landry are not bad receivers by any means. You can say they're overrated, sure, but they're not bad. Hooper's not bad. But damn, why is he not throwing for more than like 200 yards a game? Blows my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Give them a different quarterback, it'd be a whole different story. They could just be blowing people up. So I don't know, but maybe it's the offense and maybe it's him. Sit him. I put in Cordero Patterson versus Indy. Indy's defense is, I think they're like top 5 defense ranked right now, scoring wise. Not like that really matters, but he really isn't getting enough touches. I think he has a touchdown this season, but that's really all he's done the whole year.
Yeah.
And they're playing him all over the field, but I feel like he's just a gimmick because he's a guy that can take it 80 yards to the house, but it's very rare. He's their kickoff returner, punt returner, and running back wide receiver, I guess. But I think the max touches he got in a game was 6. So I just feel like he's not getting enough touches to be explosive.
Yeah, and well, with the injury to Tariq Cohen, he might see an up. But I'm with you. Like I wouldn't. That whole Bears offense, even against the Falcons, like outside of A-Rob having that one big play, none of them really stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Our defense is bad, like capital BADDDD. And A-Rob had his big day off of what should have been we should have tackled him. Like 3 guys had him, but of course he broke out that 40-yard run. I think if you can't really get it, if you can't show signs of explosiveness against our defense, then yeah, that's not someone I'm rushing to start at all. Now let's move on to Christian. Simo Dallas. Start Stephon Diggs. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is about to come out of my mouth, but Buffalo has an air raid going on right now. And Diggs is a huge part. Top 10 season. The Raiders aren't that great against the pass. I expect Buffalo to get another W. and Diggs to continue having a big day with a little bit of a banged up John Brown on the opposite side of him. I think he's going to get a little bit more targets. Sit. I think this should have been obvious, man. Isaiah Simmons. He hasn't logged more than 18 snaps a game. Thanks for starting him against me. Really helped me out. That's about it.
Start. I know he's one of the best receivers in the league. I just put it here because I think he's boom. Devontae Adams versus Atlanta.
Yeah.
He'll probably be on limited snaps. They'll probably let him be explosive a little bit, but I think he'll at least score against us before they pull him. If he does play. If not, then fuck me. And then sit him. I got Evan Ingram. Yeah. I think the max catches he's got this season is 4. And hasn't very many yards either. He's kind of been disappointing so far, but he's borderline bust. I'd compare him to like Eric Ebron. Yeah, for me. I think he's more athletic, but the way his career is going, he may be like an Ebron type player.
Yeah, injuries have just ruined that poor guy's career.
Yeah. Super athletic. Just I don't think he can put 2 and 2 together right now, especially in that offense.
Oh, man, like if our predictions are right, all 3 receivers for Green Bay are going to score against the Falcons. We should lose by like 70. But
I don't think we're wrong.
The thing is, you can't put it past us. Even if we're up by 80, we'll still find a way to blow it. And now we're going to go to Cameron, the other undefeated team. Cameron starting off hot this year, and a big reason why is the man, Henderson, the running back for the Rams. Holy fuck, he could be the league winner. He is balling the fuck out right now. He's pushing, Malcolm Brown out of the way after Brown had that big week 1 with 2 touchdowns. Cam Akers is injured. I believe I got the update that he's not actually playing this week. And with the way that Henderson is playing, there's no real reason to rush him back. That's just a nice, easy start for you. Of course, I wrote my notes before I found out about the Steelers-Titan games, but my sit was Chase Claypool. I think that's a good sleeper pick that he had. Every time Claypool's got the ball, he's looked very, very good, especially with that 80-yard touchdown he had. But until he's seeing more snaps regularly, I would sit him. But his time will come. Maybe not this year, but very soon.
So start him. I kind of put just who I think is going to explode in these spots. But I got Gurley versus Green Bay.
Okay.
Mostly because we've been passing everywhere, and they're probably just going to set to try and control Matt Ryan and it probably won't be facing stacked boxes this week. So I think he'll go off this week. And then I'm sitting Cam Newton versus Kansas City.
Yeah.
Jones has been a beast this year. They'll probably spy him with Tyrann Mathieu all game. And I think he's going to get pinched in this game against Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City, I think, did a very good job against a better quarterback in Lamar Jackson. In terms of bottling him up and everything. I think Lamar had under 100 yards throwing.
Yeah, 96 yards. That was it.
Yeah, I've watched Cam Newton pass a lot back whenever he was in Carolina against the Falcons. The dude's not all that accurate. You couple that with, like you said, Chris Jones coming at you. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. I like that.
If Chris Jones keeps it up, he'll probably be the defense player.
Yeah, and I think the Falcons could fucking draft him too.
I don't want to talk about it.
But we got Grady, so I'm cool with that. Now on to Brendan. Man, you guys are catching a treat. This being caught on camera. I'm going to tell you to start a Jaguar, Laviska, baby. So the Bengals are who they're playing against. Obviously, they've let struggling QBs kind of throw all over them. the Jaguars got embarrassed Thursday night against a team that they probably should have beat. But they've had a little bit more time to prepare. And I've known just from my time in football, that usually means that you have a few more gadget plays, a few more plays that you can kind of integrate to the offense. And I think that he's probably the guy that's going to be the recipient of most of those plays. So I think he's going to bust one against the Bengals and get you a touchdown. Sit AJ Green. It's old AJ Green, and it's because of the name that I think he won't sit him. But he's 76 in scoring, but with 28 targets. That's not good. Burrow is a very I think the offense that they're running is very conservative, and it kind of favors guys more like Tyler Boyd, who aren't really deep threat guys. He's kind of already starting to show a chemistry with T. Higgins. So I'm not big on AJ Green at the moment.
Right. Same. I have the same person in my sit spot, AJ Green. Tyler Boyd looks like wide receiver 1 in Cincinnati since first week.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they're throwing outs and posts, and none of that involves AJ Green. AJ Green is known going deep and catching contested balls, and Joe Burrow is not going to throw that ball.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely right now in his career. So that's my sit. And then my start is Hawkinson versus New Orleans. Because Galladay's battling injuries, and I just think he's due for a breakout game this week against New Orleans.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And now I'll cover you real quick, unless you did some for yourself.
No, I didn't.
Start Mike Gesicki. Even after a bad week, Seattle scores a lot against the Dolphins. I think it's going to continue. So I think the Dolphins are going to have to throw the ball a lot more. And I think that he's going to get a good bit of targets. Seattle's defense is actually kind of generous against the pass this season, at least. So I think he's in line for a good day. Your old boy DeAndre Swift.
He's already there.
I don't know why the Lions would spend such a high draft pick on him and Kerryon Johnson only to let AP run the ball 32 times or whatever the fuck he did. And he's essentially a waiver wire pickup.
Absolutely.
They suck, and so does Swift the outlook until AP leaves, I guess. I just can't see how AP is that much better and deserves that many more touches than Swift.
I don't think he does. Other than he was battling like a minor sprained ankle, and that's their excuse. But a 35-year-old Adrian Peterson should not be carrying the ball 30 times.
Right, and it's not like the Lions are dominating games either. You know, I don't know. It's
like they're wasting these early picks, not developing anyone, and then they eventually just hit free agency and go perform somewhere else. It's a shit show in Detroit.
The Lions in the slightest. Like, they just bother me the way they run their team. I don't know what it is, because I think they got good players all over, but they just they never impress me like they should.
I agree. My 1st round picks may be busting to my 2nd round pick. So,
well, you got yourself a steal with Gibson. I know that Pro Football, the fantasy focus, they have him graded like top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, because I feel like he gets like 10 rushes and about 5 catches a game. So that's pretty top tier, fantasy-wise.
Absolutely. And I just saw that Bryce Love got sent to IR, so any hope that people had for him, gone. What about for me?
It looks like for you, I kind of put a boom player instead of a start because he's already starting. But Sanders for Philly, facing this like absolutely demolished San Francisco defense. So I feel like he's going to have a game, especially because Carson Wentz looks like doo-doo. so far this. He's probably bottom 10 quarterback right now, for sure.
I mean, 6 picks, 2 weeks, 2 a game.
It's insane.
The only thing that's saving his fantasy score is he's got a rushing touchdown the past 2 weeks. But
Hey,
people are asking to bench him for Hurts already, which is pissing me off because Tua's not here.
yeah. If that happens, I'll be pretty surprised, even though Hurts is, banking in my bench. But we'll see, man. And then Sid'em, I got Zach Moss. Just because I think the dude's lost his job already. Because he started one, and then Singletary came out last week and balled out.
Well, Moss was last week.
Oh, yeah, was he? But Singletary balled out last. I think it was like 17 rushes for 100 yards and like 10 catches. Insane.
Yeah. I'm starting him now because I literally have no one else. My team has just been ravaged by injuries. But yeah, seeing Singletary have that big game, I was not a fan.
But they run the ball so that it's still an if. Like, if they're within 30 yards of the end zone, they're going to probably run Moss. So it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. They say that he's going to be the goal line guy, but we'll see. He's battling some I think he has a toe injury or something. But
well, their goal line guy is Josh Allen. So
that's something that, I think that I didn't put enough research into because I got Dobbins and Zach Moss in the draft, and they get vultured by not only their competition at running back, but by their quarterbacks.
right.
Annoying as fuck.
Like, instead of handing the ball off 1 yard from the end zone, it's a read option.
Yeah, and that fucker keeps it. Like an asshole.
Your starting running back is now elite blocker.
Oh my god. So let's talk about some of these trades that have happened. I know we have a big one in process at the moment, but as Brendan and Matt and Jonathan work out the details, we will talk about some of the trades that happened, give a little bit of our opinion on that. Don't know if we're going to give you much insight because it's done. Let's cover the big one first. We got Cameron and Brendan. Cameron sent over Eckler and Allen Robinson to Brendan for Mike Evans and Todd Gurley.
Right.
So, Dan, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you think about this trade?
So, of the 3 trades that I got to report on, because I'm going to give a report card here. Welcome to class, boys. I graded this one as the most impactful trade of the trades so far that we're covering. But for Cameron, I gave him an A+, the highest grade of any. That's because Mike Evans has been a top 5 receiver for 5 years in a row. He probably with Brady there, he's getting less touches, but I feel like the man's just going to ball out either way. I hate to say it as a Falcons fan, but he is. And then Gurley's getting just dumb touches in Atlanta. So I gave you an A+. And then and I guess it will probably help for your championship run eventually if you get to that point. And then for Brendan, I gave him a B.
Ooh.
Give him a B. That's because Cameron also got an A+ because selling Robinson after the week he had, he could sell high. So good for him. But I feel like Eckler will be their perennial just gimmick guy. Dump off passes, maybe get you 10 points a game, but he's not on a level of scoring that Gurley's on. He has a nose for the end zone. And then Robinson's just known to be hurt, so I just feel like an Evans for Robinson is not fair. Robinson does go top 10 receiver almost every year, but not on a Mike Evans level, who is a top 3 receiver, I believe.
And you're big on Mike Evans. I like it.
Well, that is a month.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of them. I'll mimic you real fast. So I gotta say, man, I think we're at the opposite end. I actually give Brendan an A on this one.
Okay.
I think Brendan actually got the better end of the deal. Eckler is a fucking fantasy monster with all the PPR points he gets, and he signed that massive 4-year extension. So, gimmick guy or not, he's in their plans for the future. It is a little alarming to see Kelly getting as many touches as he gets.
Mhm.
And with A-Rob, he's the undisputed number one out there. I know that the Bears have had those contract. I wouldn't even call them fights, but like misunderstandings. So he could be out the door, but if he does stay, like how current reports are trending, I think he continues to be basically their Julio. Um, and he gets force-fed targets. And
Yeah.
if you go to Cameron, I think got the slightly worse end of the deal. Gurley basically has arthritis in his knee. He's only with us for a year. He does get fed in Atlanta, but damn, we play from behind a lot, and we got to get him involved in the pass more if he's going to be the same stats guy that he was. And Mike Evans, he's dealing with a Chris Godwin who scored higher than him in fantasy last year. And I know
Right.
because he was 2. And Mike Evans is a monster. I think I do agree with you in the sense that if I had to choose between Mike Evans and A-Rob, I think I would lean more towards Evans just because I know what he's done. I've watched him too much to not be impressed. But I think the real kicker for me is Eckler is better than Gurley at this point in time because of the certainty of the contract
Oh,
and
that's
the amount of the amount of catches he gets. I think is a huge bump. But that's interesting though. So you think that Cameron got the better end of the deal?
yeah, I do, and I graded it just in the sense that when I'm looking at Cameron's team right now, he's trying to ride out and get a championship this year, win right now, and I think that will get him there. The only thing that alarms me is that Brady is not targeting down the field like at all, really, and that's where Evans thrives too. Just in the same fact of like why AJ Green looks like shit this year too.
Right.
So,
Right. I mean, let me actually pull up Brady. Brady is 18 in scoring right now, and he's putting up. He hasn't broke 300 yards. Last week was his biggest week. Hopefully, he turns it around for you. But with Godwin out, do you think Evans is going to get a bigger bump now?
they went from having Jameis Winston, who now is third all time for passing yards in a season, to a 40-year-old man who can probably barely throw the ball right now.
Yeah, I think he downgraded in that department for sure. But the team got better because Brady won't throw 30 interceptions in a year.
That's true. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think that shows that it was a good trade because you can have two different views to it, and it's not one-sided as one trade that I will not mention again. I don't want to give myself a hem. Now we're going to talk about Christian and Jonathan's trade. So Jonathan traded Damian Williams, who is famous in our league, and Melvin Gordon for Baker Mayfield and Chris Thompson. I know that picks were involved with it. I believe Christian gave a higher draft pick to Jonathan, and Jonathan Jonathan gave one of his lower picks to Christian. So Jonathan got the advantage with the draft pick. Why don't you start us off again, Dan?
So my trade report, I have Jonathan at a C+. That's just because I believe Baker will. I think after his rookie contract, will probably not be a Brown anymore.
That's it.
If you're looking for a quarterback of the future, that's not who you want. Unless he magically turns it around and does some Heisman winning schemes or something, he's not gonna turn into a top 5 quarterback like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris Thompson, he's just been a bowling ball around the league. I just feel like he won't stick anywhere more than 2 years. So going to Christian, who I graded at a B, you have Melvin Gordon, who just signed a 4-year contract with Denver.
3-4 years, something like that, yeah.
And I believe he's solidified a starting job. And then Damian Williams, who is a guy he won't have until next year, but he can bank on Melvin Gordon being a starter this whole year, which is what he needs. So I think Christian won on the trade, even with giving up a draft pick. And when you're in this case, if you have a starting running back, even if you have a first-round pick, you're not guaranteed to win it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So I think Christian with a B has won the trade. I'm not saying it's the best trade of all time, but with getting Melvin Gordon, who's been the workhorse, and a Denver offense that doesn't have a quarterback, is.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that Christian actually got the upper end of the deal. I think Gordon's touches might dip slightly whenever he comes back, but like you said, this is a win now type of approach that Christian's taking, and I do believe that he traded Mayfield at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he would have waited any longer, his value could have depreciated and to basically nothing. I do think that he probably will have the job as long as his rookie contract is going on.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that they're probably not going to draft or pick up another quarterback. But, he probably could have got a better draft pick out of it. It's not the world's worst. I believe that Chris Thompson is irrelevant. He'll be waiver wire material in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the fuck people care about Damian Williams so much.
Yeah.
Like, he's not playing this year. No one needs to roster him. And if the Chiefs were comfortable with him, they wouldn't have spent their first round pick on a running back. So,
Absolutely.
I don't know why the fuck people are rostering him. And he's gone back and forth between both of these guys. It's the most confusing thing in the world to me.
He's just a third down back. That's all he is.
I don't get it because I think that Clyde is going to be their all-purpose back if he keeps it up. Because what I was most concerned about with Clyde was him running between the tackles, and the Week 1 game that I saw, he definitely was able to do that against the Texans. Against the Ravens, I don't really expect anyone to run too much against them. They're nasty.
They got boys in there.
Yeah, they got some grown men playing in there for sure. And but yeah, I will give the edge to Christian just because Melvin Gordon, I believe, is a way more talented running back than people give him credit for. He was taken very, very, very closely to Todd Gurley in that draft, if I remember right. I think that he's better than what Lindsey is, but I think that Lindsey's done enough to make himself like a third down back, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Touches might dip slightly, but because of Melvin Gordon, I think that Christian won this trade.
Right.
When trading with Jonathan, it seems to be something Christian can always get the upper hand on. Now, let's talk about yours and Matt's trade, the trade that got you all first-round picks, all 5.
So I bit in the trade, but I don't regret it because I gave him Kupp, who has been a top 10 receiver, other than barring injury.
Mm-hmm.
I got Renfro, who just now had his breakout game. So, but me getting the first-round pick, I gave myself a C, just because
harsh critic.
I think Kupp was probably my best receiver right now, stat-wise. But and only switching going forward maybe 8 spots. Looking at it, 8 to 10 spots going forward, and then only getting Renfro, who has 1 game under his belt, worth anything. And I gave Matt an A because he really didn't give up much, and he got Cooper Kupp. The dude's going to get like 8 catches a game on average. So I think Matt has been doing the best trades of late
Okay.
to try to improve his team. I don't think he has the capital to make something huge. So if he's going to make a trade to make his team a playoff team, it's going to be, as he was talking to me about, just making these blockbuster, like 3 players or 2 player trades and getting one decent player out of it.
Hmm. So I think that Renfro is actually better than people are giving him. I know that Brendan, I believe, is the one who told me they call him the slot machine out there. Getting a slot machine in a Derek Carr offense is, I think, pretty impressive, especially with how injury-prone Ruggs is. I think that he could continue to have targets because they focus a lot on Waller and everything. And he's I know he's an older rookie, but he's young in the league, so he hopefully has plenty more years ahead of him. Getting 5 picks in the first round is insane. I do like the talent that Matt got, but I don't understand why he went for Kupp. Because he has Woods and Van Jefferson.
Right.
He has all those receivers. That doesn't make sense to me unless he's planning on moving one of them pretty soon, because I don't understand stacking up the same team like that, because if they struggle, then your team's dead in the water. But what pick did Matt get from you?
Matt got my last pick, which was my second round pick.
And with the way you're scoring, it could be an early second. So
Yeah.
I think Matt did get you on this one. But I think that for his team as a whole, he needs to make a few more to really make this trade extra, like a lopsided, I guess.
And that the trade that he's in talk with, I think, may be the best trade for him, because he, like me, is lacking at running back. So if that other trade he's talking about goes through with the picks and things, I think he may be winning his trade for his team, though.
I'm trying to look up the logic of what they're doing with the trade, and it doesn't really make sense. I don't know why no one wants to respond in the Discord. So it looks like 2 trades have gone through, one between Brendan and Matt, and then the other one.
Yeah, Brandon and Jonathan.
Yeah, so I'm sure that Jonathan got raped. just using past history. And then I don't know. The picks aren't really going to work out if I'm reading this right, because each team has to trade its own pick. But I don't know. We're going to keep that in mind and probably talk about that another podcast. So now, okay, go ahead.
Brendan is looking to is if that trade goes through, is trading CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, wow.
That dude's a monster. He's probably him and Jerry Jeudy are like some of the greatest route runners to come through in recent history.
Brendan is not afraid to shake things up, and that's what I like.
But he is DJ Moore I don't know if it's going to help him right now, but if the Panthers get a quarterback, they'll be pretty set on offense, other than offensive.
Yeah. The Panthers offense is starting to develop into something a little scary. I think that Bridgewater is a good game manager in the sense I don't want to say Tom Brady level, almost like a Phillip Rivers type of level, but he's a little more accurate than Rivers has been. But how about just real quick, I'll name the matchup and you tell me who you think's going to win this week.
Okay.
Got Cameron versus Drew.
Oh man, Cameron.
I got the same too.
Yeah, Cameron's may make a run at.
Cameron's team is scary this year. A lot of it is on his draft in the sense that Jonathan Taylor got the keys. Injury is what helped him, but the James Robinson pickup.
Yeah.
I don't know how we have all these Jags fans, but yet they let Laviska fall to the end of the third, and then none of them knew that James Robinson was going to be the guy.
Right.
I don't know. And then we have Christian versus James. It's James, yeah.
Even James has had some good games this year, and he really. But I think I'll take Christian.
James has got a defense that can put up points. And,
yeah.
I think he can, depending on how Waller plays, between him and Kittle, that's dangerous. Probably the best tight end combo in the league, honestly.
Well, he might have even if I still had Ertz, he would probably be beating me right now, just because Ertz has been pretty average so far this year.
Yeah, a lot of that. I don't think Ertz is going to stay in for too much longer. I think Goddard is a real talent. I think he's going to end up taking over that spot, and Ertz will end up New England or somewhere. I have Christian in that one as well. We have the newly named Florida fantasy team for Matt versus the homie Kyle. Matt had a very strong showing Thursday night with Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, and it looks like he had a linebacker get him about 10.5 points.
Yeah. So knowing that what he got from Thursday night, it's probably going to be pretty hard for him to lose that match. Take Matt for that one.
Yeah. The projections still have the game kind of close, but I've been talking with Kyle. Kyle is ready to deal. He's looking for running backs.
Everybody for running backs.
Everybody's looking for running backs. And the thing is that whenever you get into the season is whenever you really understand how much you need them. But the teams that have them are usually in the playoff run, so we don't want to get rid of them.
Yep.
So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how some of these trades work out. But I am really excited. I feel like this is the first season where people are just making these blockbuster deals. Like it seems like almost every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I felt like last year we kind of went dormant for about 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the first 2 weeks we had some trades, and then like around playoff times where people were like, "I'm not going to make it, so I might as well get some picks." But I've seen so many trades. It seems like every day I wake up, there's a trade.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but it makes me almost feel like antsy. I'm like, well, I need to trade. I need to do something. But you're going to be in the patience game for a while if you keep all these 5 first rounders. I don't believe with I forget who said in the Discord, but said that you could bust on all 5. I would be impressed if you busted on like more than 2, honestly.
Matt.
It was Matt. Yeah, well, he's trying to defend himself for getting rid of his first. That's what it is. Then, because I think that your pick is going to be an early one.
For sure.
I know that Matt is trying to make a playoff run. I don't know how these trades that he just did is going to shape up his team, but he looks middle of the pack right now. I think that.
I think I choose top 5s. Looking at it.
Yeah, and then you have mine and Cameron and Brendan, who
you guys were teams.
Yeah, so you could. I think your first 2 are going to be slam dunks because it's a pretty loaded class already. But even then, like you'll do your research by then and you'll have it all set up.
Yeah. Even though my 2 running backs don't look very great this season from the first round.
See, the Akers I would be less concerned about than Swift for some reason. I think that Akers obviously has that injury, but Swift is what bothers me, and it's more because of the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had that really bad first week where he dropped that touchdown.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like they almost put him in the doghouse after that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's really like a right like assumption, but that's how I've been viewing it.
they're not giving their young guys to develop.
Hmm.
Good. If you want a guy to actually learn to play in the NFL, he has to play.
And but I mean Antonio Gibson, I think that's a really 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 good pick. And if we were to redraft, he would be a first rounder.
Oh yeah.
Um, Going on my team. Yeah. I do you have any idea of what positions you want, or is it just going to be like the best talent there, or are you going to go in there with the mindset of I one quarterback, three running backs? Like do you have anything like that figured out so far?
So going to it, I know I want one of those top two quarterbacks for sure.
So
If
Field
not, if
Lawrence.
not Fields.
Okay. That's good though,
But
because you get to bring them back to Georgia in a way. Am I right?
don't talk about it. But I feel like I could. I think Lawrence will probably go one or two, no matter what. So I don't know if I'll be able to get him.
Hmm.
And no, I do need at least the first or second running back off the board if I can still get him there. Because I feel like, as the same as last draft, there's so much wide receiver talent there that like playmakers at wide receiver that running backs may fall to like 4 or 5.
Hmm.
If I like think about it, Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't go one, and it would have shook up our whole draft.
Definitely. Definitely. It,
If I get Jonathan Taylor sleeper type guy, second pick, it's over.
and then, so for the next game, I'm not going to put my input in on this, but me versus Jonathan.
We don't even have to talk about it.
My team is so decimated by injuries right now,
Yeah,
and
I
and
feel
I mean,
like you're.
I woke up to a Discord DM this morning from Jonathan saying the projection that you beat me by like 80. Now it's down to 50. You nervous, you bitch?
uh,
I'm still gonna whip your ass with like one leg.
yeah, you'll feel that. No problem.
I need guys to start coming back healthy. It's been a pain. The good thing is that a lot of them are just kind of like what you said. They're out for like a week or two, maybe a month, and then they come back and hopefully they put it all behind them. But
Yeah,
honestly, this season has made me appreciate preseason so much more. Just training camp in general. People are just getting hurt like unbelievable. Like I don't know if you saw the game last night, the Broncos and Jets, but oh my god, dude! Every other play, someone was going down.
it's
Like
ridiculous.
I don't know if it's the turf. I don't know if it's the lack of practice. I know that the 49ers were complaining about the field conditions and stuff like that, so that's why I mentioned turf. But
I think it's also that they didn't get to like contact practice for a while.
yeah,
All these guys either they're not doing well taking hits, or guys are like lowering their shoulder a little too much or hitting too low. That may be an avenue for these injuries.
yeah, you think because they're trying to avoid all the helmet to helmet stuff, but we've been seeing a pretty high uptick in lower body injuries. And I wonder what the correlation between that and the
All these receivers are getting ankle and knee left and right.
I mean, these guys are just taking like diving headers to their knees instead of because whenever I play football, I was taught, you wrap up, you kind of keep your head up, and you drive them. But I feel like anymore, if any part of the helmet touches the offense's person's helmet, they're gonna get a flag, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's aggravating. And then between you and Brendan,
Brendan's gonna whip my ass.
he he shouldn't be 1-2 in the first place. Week one against Christian. Christian had a big week, but Brendan was still like number 2 in scoring. I actually forget what happened the second week. Let me look it up real fast. He lost to Matt. Holy fuck. That shouldn't have happened. Even though it was a close game. But yeah, I think that you've embraced this rebuild.
Yeah, the past 2 years, it's been I've scored so much, I get beat by like 2 or 3 points, so it's so mad, and I would end up like 7-4 or whatever. But now I know it's not my year, so I just gotta ride it out.
Well, I think it's definitely a bold move what you're doing, but I think it's going to set like everyone the other teams are going to try to follow. I think a large part of it is that you're really banking on your draft strategy and your ability to research and look up players. And I think that it's real easy to look at Swift and Aikman right now and think, oh, they're not going to pan out, but they will. Very, very few rookie running backs come out and start on fire unless you're a Christian and you get the 1-1 and you get like Saquon and McCaffrey and Jacobs and whatever. But if you're I'm looking at the points for at the moment. You would have the 3rd pick in the draft, as well as the 4th, and then the 6th, the 7th, and the 10th.
Damn.
Kyle is at 1-1 right now. Jonathan is only ahead of him by 8 points. And then you have a pretty significant jump on Jonathan by about 30 points. But it's very early in the season. And because you've done this so early, I'm not going to call it tanking in the sense that like you're purposely trying to lose, because you're trying to make your team better. But because you did this so early, you got rid of your big number players, Kupp, Watson, to name a few. Your point total will be lower than what it would be if you were to hold on to these guys towards the end of the season and then try to deal them. So I think you made the right choice with that.
Yeah, and it's personally, I couldn't tank. I'm still putting in the players that I think will score the most. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking to lose because I love it. I'm very competitive. But in the sense of points being scored, it's a mini tank. But it took a lot of like swallowing my pride to trade away all of my players.
Oh, I do think it's gonna work out for in your favor, because you've obviously got defense figured out too. So I guess another thing I guess I should ask, I know it's real early, but is defense on your mind for the draft at all?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Stay away from one player. We're gonna have to talk privately. There's one defensive player that I'm gonna jump and take. I don't need you doing all that.
Because I have holes to fill, but my last pick is the iffy one. I'm either going to trade back because I know someone's going to be there, or I'm going to hold on to it and take someone early if I have to. But it depends on who is there at that pick. If I can make a draft day trade, it'll probably happen. Because I know what a defense went in the late 2nd or 3rd last year.
The first defensive player taken, I believe, was Isaiah Simmons, and that was the end of the 2nd, not the very end. The pick that Jonathan just basically gave to Christian.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was.
I think it was like 2-8. Like that.
Yeah, it was towards the end, and then the next taken was another linebacker, Patrick Queen, who actually looks like he should have been ahead, at least at this moment.
Yeah.
And then Chase Young, that was a good pick in hindsight.
Yeah.
Probably a bit too early. But yeah, so I think it's safe to say that, well, I mean, since you have your 5 picks in the first, you're done after that. So you have to get what you need to get, because if you're banking on a top defensive player making it that far to waivers, it's not going to happen.
Right. Absolutely, yeah. And there's no – so the only reason I think about it is because I have Littleton, and in this new offense, he's not even a top 32 linebacker after being a top 5 linebacker the past 2 seasons.
Really?
He went from playing in that like hybrid 3-4 to playing in a 4-3, and he plays in zone the whole game. He played every single snap for the Raiders and had 8 tackles. High. Every single snap. So going from that defense to this defense, he lost a lot of value to me, and he's borderline about to get replaced.
Ooh, about to get the axe.
Yeah, because there's young linebackers performing on shitty teams, and they're getting 10 tackles a game.
If it wasn't for Christian dropping Jerome Baker, I would be desperate for linebackers at the moment. But I'm about ready to drop Roquan Smith. Dude, every offseason it's the thing is, he does get 100 tackles a season, but his stats are not impressive in my opinion. But I know me personally, just going on the draft, I'm very interested in a linebacker. If you follow the teams I follow, it's probably going to be very obvious, but I'm hoping that he's there, because I'm also low-key very nervous about Deion Jones and his future.
You're hoping he stays healthy, because I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. I figured that's who you were looking at too, but he who shall not be named.
I feel like Roquan Smith, as soon as he saw that money, all of his worth ethic went out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him whenever he was at UGA. But he was a perennial linebacker, like one of the best. But I mean, it's the guys like Darius Leonard who always seem to make a huge name for themselves in the NFL. They just come from nothing, but they have that work ethic that just builds them all the way up.
Because, I mean, you can have some D2 guy that's 6'2", 200, and he can lay the wood on like anybody else, but he just gets attention.
But Dan, I appreciate you taking the time to go through all this craziness that is our fantasy league. Do you have any closing thoughts that the rest of the league should know?
Keep up the trading, and I'll see you around draft time.
Oh, yeah. Well, all right, guys, this is it for this one. Deuces.